Okay, very good afternoon, my dear friends. This is Dr. Padala Tirupati, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Government Degree College for Women, Jagitian. In this regard, we would like to invite Dr. P. Manjula Madam Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Rbvrr Women's College, Autonomous Hyderabad. Madam, please welcome and share your screen. Start your session, Madam. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, is it visible screen?
Yeah, visible, Madam. Please click on slideshow.
Okay, sir. Okay, now is it okay, sir?
Yes, Madam. Yes, Madam. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. So today, good afternoon, one and all. So today we will discuss about another topic, that is the plant tissue systems. Okay, tissue systems are plant tissue systems. So generally, tissue system is generally in vascular plants, the plant body mainly consists of different types of cells, that is vegetative cells and reproductive cells. So generally, vegetative cells mainly helps in the growth of the vegetative function. Okay, mainly helps in the growth, whereas the reproductive cells or reproductive organs, they mainly helps in the mainly helps, that is reproductive organs like flower. So mainly helps in the fertilization and helps in plant growth or multiplication of the plants. So each organ, generally it is made up of different types of tissues, so which are organized into definite units. It is called as a tissue system. So generally we already discussed that. So each organism which is made up of the unit it is called as a cell, and group of cells constitute the tissues, and group of tissues constitute the tissue system, and tissue systems to organs, and organs to organisms. So here these are the different tissue systems. So tissue system means it is defined as a group of tissues which perform similar function irrespective of the position in the plant body. Okay, so here the tissue system is defined as a group of tissues. So these group of tissues which are made up of group of cells. Okay, so these group of tissues which perform the similar function irrespective of the position in the plant body. So they are present in any part, but their function is similar. Okay, so according to SAC, so the plant body is made up of mainly three kinds of tissue systems. They are, first one is the epidermal tissue system, second one is the ground tissue system, and third one is the vascular tissue system. So SAC classified these tissue systems into three types, that is the epidermal tissue system, second one is the ground tissue system, and third one is the vascular tissue system. Okay, so these systems, they are derived from the three distinct zones of apical meristems. Okay, these tissue systems which are made up of grown from the three distinct zones of apical meristems. That is the first one, that is the epidermal tissue system, which is derived from the protodermal zone. Okay, protoderm. Whereas the ground meristem, which gives rise to ground tissue system, and procambium, which gives rise to vascular tissue system. So these three tissue systems which are derived from the apical meristems only. So that is the first one, epidermal tissue system, which is derived from the protoderm, whereas the ground tissue system which is derived from the ground meristem, and vascular tissue system which is derived from the procambium. Okay, so this is the tissue systems in the plant body, that is the epidermal tissue system which is present outside, and ground tissue system that is in the center, and central, that is vascular tissue system, mainly consists of xylem and phloem. So these are the three types of tissue systems, and they perform different functions. Okay, so first one is the epidermal tissue system. So epidermal tissue system. So it is the outermost layer, that is, it is also known as the dermal tissue. Okay, so which is derived from the apical meristem, that is the protoderm. So this epidermal tissue system, which is derived from the protoderm. Okay, and the aerial part of the plant body, which is covered with non-cellular cuticle. So generally, this undifferentiated epidermal cells, which are also known as the pavement cells. So another term, that is the pavement cell, that is undifferentiated epidermal cells. So generally, this epidermal tissue system, which is derived from the protoderm, and it is the outermost layer. Okay. So the main function of this epidermal tissue system is, that is the protection. It is the outer protective covering of the plant body. Okay. And generally it is originated from the protoderm. Or another name for this protoderm is the dermatogen. Another term, that is the dermatogen. So that is epidermal tissue system, which is derived from the protoderm or dermatogen. Okay. So the epidermal tissue system, which again, the main functions are, that is the protection against the water loss and helps in the gas exchange, and also it secretes some metabolic compounds, and also helps in the absorption of water and mineral nutrients, etc. So these are the functions of epidermal tissue system. So it is the outermost layer. So here the epidermis, which includes some specialized cells also in the epidermal region. So here trichomes, root hairs, stomata. So generally these are present in the epidermal tissue system. So first one is the trichomes. So generally, and the epidermal, that is hairy like outgrowths which are present on these epidermal cells, they are called as the trichomes. So these trichomes, it may be unicellular or it may be multicellular, or it may be branched, or it may be unbranched, or it may be straight, or it may be spiral or hooked. So these are the outgrowths which are developed from the epidermal cells. So it may be, so these are trichomes, they are the hairy outgrowths which are developed from the epidermis. And it may be unicellular, it may be single celled, or it may be made up of two or more than two cells, or it may be branched, or it may be unbranched, it may be straight or spiral or hook. So these are the different types of trichomes. Simple one-celled hair, first one. So here second one is the branched, one-celled but it is branched. Simple and many-celled hair. And here star-shaped, stellate trichomes. So like that, here these are the different shapes, or it may be unicellular or branched or straight. So here the difference between the, so we already sometimes papillated stigmatic papilla. So what is the difference between these trichomes and papilla? So trichome means these are the larger than the papilla, and it can be unicellular or multicellular. Generally these trichomes, there is only one outgrowth per epidermal cell. So these are trichomes which are derived from developed from the epidermal cell. Whereas the papilla, these are the smaller than the trichomes, and it is unicellular, and these are the several small outgrowths on the each epidermal cell. So each epidermal cells, here several small outgrowths will be developed. So they are called as a papilla. But here the trichome, from the each epidermal cell, only one outgrowth. Okay, so this is the main difference between the trichomes and papillae. So trichomes unicellular or multicellular, and whereas here papilla, it is unicellular. And here another difference is, so from the each epidermal cell only one outgrowth, it is larger than the papilla, whereas the papilla, it is smaller than the papilla, and from the each epidermal cell several outgrowths are developed. So example here, the stigmatic papillae, so which is developed on the stigma. So the main functions of these trichomes are, they controls the rate of respiration and also reduces the heating effect by reflecting the sunlight. And it also protects the plant from outer injurious agencies. And it also helps in ion exchange and also secretions of essential oils, etc. So these are the functions of the trichomes. So, and the epidermis, so these are the outgrowths. First one is the trichome. So second one is the So these are the different types of trichomes like glandular hairs, scalar peltate hair, or stinging hair. So again here and the types of epidermal layers also. It is also again it is made up of two kinds of cells. Okay, epidermal layers. So it is again it is composed of two types of cells. So generally normal epidermal cells and bulliform cells. Are bulliform cells. Another name for this bulliform cells are motor cells. Okay, so generally these normal epidermal cells, so they are parenchymatous and living, and generally they are arranged very closely without intercell when we observe the epidermis. So it is closely arranged without intercellular spaces, and each cell which possesses large central vacuole and thin peripheral cytoplasm. Okay, and these cells also contain sometimes leucoplast or chromoplast and anthocyanin pigments. But in the generally in the epidermal cells, that is chloroplast is absent, but except in the guard cells. So this chloroplast is present. Okay, so another type is the bulliform cells. That is generally the another name for this bulliform cells is motor cells. So these are thin-walled cells with large vacuole. So generally, these bulliform cells, generally we observe in the grasses. Okay, so they play important role in that is rolling and the rolling and unrolling of the leaves during the dry seasons. Okay, so here these are the different types of trichomes. That is glandular, hair-like. So next one is the stomata. So stomata, so generally leaf and stem epidermis, which is covered with the pores, they are called as the stomata. So small openings which are present on the epidermis, so they are called as the stomata. So generally these stomata, which is made up of two guard cells, that is these two guard cells, these are the parenchymatous, and these guard cells which are again covered with the subsidiary cells or accessory cells. So here the main, so this point is important. So generally in dicots, bean shaped, the guard cells are bean shaped or kidney shaped, whereas in monocots the guard cells are dumbbell shaped. So this point is important. That is, so this point is important. So generally, the shape of the guard cells. Okay. So in dicots, the shape is bean shape or kidney shape, whereas in monocots it is dumbbell shape. Okay. So generally, these guard cell which regulate the size of the stomatal pore. So here, when we observe this structure of the stomata, so here it contains small opening which is covered with the guard cells. So in the guard cells, chloroplast is present. Okay, and this is the guard cell which is surrounded by the subsidiary cells. So the functions of these stomata are which regulates the flow of gases in and out of the leaves and maintains the moisture and pressure balance within the plant, and also helps in the process of transpiration. So these are the functions of the stomata. So here the classification of stomata based on the development. Okay, so if the based on the development, so that is A genus, that is meristomoid only gives rise to guard cells. So no subsidiary cells here. So A genus means here the meristematic cells only gives rise to guard cells. No subsidiary cells are present. A genus. So mesogenous means, so that is here the guard cells. Here the meristome, that is it gives rise to both guard cells and subsidiary cells which are developed from the same mother initial. So mesogenous means both guard cells and subsidiary cells which are developed from the same mother initial or same meristomatic cell. It is called as a mesogenous or mesogenous type. Okay, so here the both guard cells and subsidiary cells which are derived from this same mother initial. So another one is the perigenous. Perigenous means here the meristomoid only gives rise to guard cells, whereas the meristomoid induces division in the adjacent epidermal cell to produce the subsidiary cell. That is here guard cells and subsidiary cell, they are not from the same origin. So here In perigenous, that is guard cells and subsidiary cells which develop from the different mother in shell. It is called as a perigenous. So another one is also there, that is the mesoperigenous. That is at least one of the subsidiary cell have the common origin with the guard cells, but others have the independent origin. Okay. So another term is mesoperigenous. Okay. Mesoperigenous. So another type. Here, mesoperigenous means that is guard cells and at least one subsidiary cell which is developed from the same mother in shell. It is called as the mesoperigenous type. So here, based on the development, in A genus only it gives rise to guard cells. That is, from the mother cell it only produces the guard cells. No subsidiary cells are seen. Whereas in mesogenous, both the guard cells and subsidiary cells which are derived from the same mother in shell. Whereas in perigenous, that is only guard cells and subsidiary cells which are derived from the different mother in shell. Okay, mesoperigenous, another one, that is guard cells and at least one guard cells and at least one subsidiary cell which is derived from the same mother in shell. So this is the classification of stomata based on the development. Okay, so next one is classification of the stomata based on the structure, shape and arrangement of the subsidiary cells. So here, so generally the stomata which is made up of guard cells and subsidiary cells. So here, based on the arrangement and based on the shape of the subsidiary cells and the guard cells. So again, here different types. Anamocytic, that is which lacks subsidiary cells. So here the stomata which is made up of only guard cells, and here the subsidiary cells are absent. Okay. So another one is the anisocytic, which possesses unequal subsidiary cells. So here the guard cells which are surrounded by the subsidiary cells, but here they are unequally distributed. Okay. So here one is smaller and two are larger, like that, anisocytic. So next one is diacytic. So diacytic means one or more pairs of subsidiary cells with their common walls are right angle to the guard cells. So here subsidiary cells are which are arranged right angle to the guard cells. So it is called as the diacytic. Okay, another one is a parasitic. So parasitic means, so here subsidiary cells which are present parallel to the guard cells. Okay, parasitic. So another one is the actinocytic. So 5 radiating subsidiary cells are forming a star-like circle around the guard cells. So here around the guard cells, here the 5 subsidiary cells are present. So another one is the graminaceous. So 2 guard cells which are surrounded by 2 lens-shaped subsidiary cells. So here generally in graminaceae, that is in monocots, the guard cells are dumbbell-shaped. So here in between these, so these 2 lens-shaped subsidiary cells are present. So it is the graminaceous type. So first one is the anamocytic, second one is the anisocytic, third one is the diacytic, fourth one is the actinocytic, and sixth one is the graminaceous. So these are important. So anamocytic means that is which lacks subsidiary cells, whereas the anisocytic means here they possess unequal subsidiary cells. So here that is 2 larger and 1 small subsidiary. Here the guard cells which are surrounded by 1 small and 2 large cells. In diacytic, that is subsidiary cells are present right angle or perpendicular to the guard cells. Okay. In parasitic, that is subsidiary, here the guard cells, the subsidiary cells are present parallel to the guard cells here. In actinocytic, 5 radiating, that is 5 radiating subsidiary cells are present, and they form a star shape, a star-like circle around the guard cell, actino, star shaped. Okay. In graminaceous, that is here generally graminaceous means that is in monocots. Generally here these guard cells are dumbbell shaped. So in between this here Okay, so here these are the subsidiary cells which are present. Two lens shaped subsidiary cells are present. So stomata, it is a small minute epidermal opening with following character, that is the central two kidney shaped similar cells which contain generally guard cells which contain the chloroplast, okay, and varying number of subsidiary cells covering the guard cells. So it is made up of a pair of identical guard cells and forming a pore in the center through which gaseous exchange takes place. Okay, the main function of this stomata is helps in the exchange of gases. So which contains guard cells and subsidiary cells. So generally in guard cells, chloroplast is present. So here, so these are the minute openings distributed in the epidermis of the leaves, and they are bring about gas exchange between the leaf tissue and atmosphere and each stoma. So singular stoma, so which contains surrounded by two kidney or bean-shaped epidermal cells, that is guard cells. So that is kidney-shaped in dicots, whereas kidney are bean-shaped in dicots, whereas in monocots it is a dumbbell shape. So the stoma may vary on any part of the plant except the roots. So the epidermal cells which bordering the guard cells are called as the accessory cells or subsidiary cells. So generally the stoma which is applied to the stomatal opening and guard cells. So the guard cells, these are the living and they contain the chloroplast, and they also contain large proportion of protoplasm than other epidermal cells. And usually in the leaves of dicotyledons, stomata remain scattered, whereas in the leaves of monocotyledons, they are arranged in parallel rows. So here the arrangement of the stomata also varies. In dicots, it is scattered, whereas in monocots, they are parallel rows. So here when we observe these dicots and monocots, so here they are irregularly arranged, whereas in grasses, that is parallel rows. So these stomata which are arranged parallelly, okay. So again, distribution of stomata also varies. So a leaf of normal mesophyte may have as many as 6 million stomata. Okay, and usually in the leaves of mesophytes, so stomata are found in more number in the lower epidermis than in the upper epidermis. So generally stomata are present, more number of stomata are present on the lower epidermis, whereas for instance, so leaf of tomato which contains 10,000 stomata per centimeter square area in the lower epidermis and about 2,300 stomata on its upper epidermis. So generally more number of stomata which are present on the lower epidermis. So this is also important point. So position of the stomata also varies. Okay, in stomata, so more number of stomata is seen on the upper epidermis than the lower epidermis. So in so the leaf of wheat plant, lower epidermis, lower epidermis 1400 stomata, whereas upper epidermis 3300. Okay, in monocots. Okay, so here more number of stomata is seen in the upper epidermis. So it is varies with the species also. So woody plants, lower epidermis of leaves. So here it is confined to the only lower epidermis. In aquatic plants, upper epidermis of the leaves. So stomata is present at upper epidermis. So here the position of the stomata also varies. So generally in mesophytes, more number of, that is in mesophytes, normal plants, more number of stomata are present on the lower epidermis and less number on upper epidermis. Whereas in monocots, more number of stomata is present in the upper epidermis than the lower epidermis. In the woody plants, the stomata is only confined to the lower epidermis. In aquatic plants, only on the upper epidermis. So we already discussed about these types. So these are the basic types. So anamocytic type, it is also known as a ranunculaceae, or anisocytic cruciferae, or parasitic rubiaceae member. So generally, so based on the type of stomata also we can identify the family. Okay. So diacytic. So if the stomata is parasitic stomata is seen, so it may that is it may be a rubiaceae member like that. So based on the type of stomata we can identify the families. So this is the anamocytic. So here we cannot differentiate the subsidiary cells, anisocytic. So here the stomata is surrounded by 3 or more subsidiary cells. So one of them is distinctly smaller than the other, and 2 are larger. So one is smaller subsidiary cell and 2 are large in anisocytic. That is 3 irregular size. In parasitic, each stoma is surrounded by 2 or more subsidiary cells, and 2 of them are long axis and parallel to the pore. So they are these guard cell. Here, these subsidiary cells are parallel to the guard cells. In diacytic, that is Caryophyllaceae, so each stoma is surrounded by 2 subsidiary cells and having their long axis, which are perpendicular to the pore. So these are the subsidiary cells and which are perpendicular to the pore or guard cell. Okay. So these are the different types of, so parasitic, diacytic, actino, star-shaped, anisocytic, regularly, anamocytic. So graminaceae, the stoma possesses guard cells of which the middle portion are much narrower than the ends, so that the cells appear in the surface view like the dumbbell shape. So they are commonly found in Graminaceae members and Cyperaceae of monocotyledons. Another one is the coniferous stomata. So generally, which is that is the sunken stomata. So they are sunken and appear as through the suspended from the subsidiary cells and arcing over them. So in there, the median part of the guard cells are elliptical in section and have narrow lumina. So generally in xerophytic plants, so sunken stomata is seen. That is, it is present in the stomatal chamber, which is so generally present in the stomatal chamber. Okay. So generally, stomata which is present in the epidermal region, but it is present in somewhat inside, so sunken. So it is called as the sunken stomata. So in there, the median part of the guard cells are elliptical in section and have narrow lumina. So at their ends, they have the wider lumina and triangular in section. So it is the characteristic of these guard cells is the, so generally lignified and partly non-lignified. So these subsidiary cells also partly lignified. So this is the second outgrowth. First one is the trichomes. So epidermal outgrowth, first one is the trichomes, second one is the stomata, and third one is the root hairs. So they are also known as the absorbent hair. So the main function of this root hair is helps in the absorption of water. So they are found in the region of maturation and also called as the zone of differentiation. Okay, so when we observe the root apex, here the region of maturation is present. So in that region, so these root hairs are present. So the main function is increase the surface area of these hairs, allows plant to be more efficient in absorbing the nutrients. So generally these root hairs which are present in the region of maturation and helps in the absorption of water or moisture from the surroundings and also prevents harmful bacterial organisms. Okay, so these are the functions of root hairs. So this is about the epidermal tissue system. So the main generally epidermal tissue system which constitutes the epidermis, it is the main function is protection. Okay, so it is also known as a protective layer, and the root